Welcome back, boys and girls. It is our third day of learning about comparing and contrasting. I'm so excited to have you back with me again today. So I would like to take a moment to share my screen with you. And just like yesterday, make sure you have paper and pencil. Okay. So let's go ahead and read our learning target and let's do it together. It says, I can compare and contrast characters from two different stories using evidence from the text. And so on yesterday, we actually listened to two stories. We listened to the original version of the Three Little Pigs, as well as the true story of the Three Little Pigs. And I hope that you enjoy both of those stories as much as I did. Actually, the true story of the Three Little Pigs is one of my favorite stories to read. Let's quickly review, compare, and contrast, as those are our key terms. So remember, when we are talking about comparing, the author is describing different similarities between two or more things. Again, when we compare, the author is describing similarities between two or more things. Versus when I'm contrasting, the author describes differences between two or more things. But for our purpose today, we are going to compare and contrast, not within the same text, but the two stories that we read on yesterday. And if you would like to, you can take a moment and refresh yourselves by listening to those stories again. All right, so we're going to talk about the wolf. And right now we have the title of the Three Little Pigs and the second story title, The True Story of the Three Little Pigs. And this is a way for us to talk about the differences that we saw in those particular stories. If you want to talk about comparing, it's very easy for us to say that the wolf was a character in both of these stories. But how was the wolf different in one story and compared to the other story? So let's talk about what we remember from reading those stories. In the Three Little Pigs, the wolf was bad. Yes, he definitely was bad. In the true story of the Three Little Pigs, he was framed. So someone set him up. He did not do anything on his own. It was not intentional. He was mean in the original version, was not nice at all. A little angry in that version as well. The true story of the Three Little Pigs, he was kind. He used his manners, he was polite, he was thinking about his grandma. In the original version, he was hungry. He set out to get something to eat. It was a part of his purpose. Whereas in the true story of the Three Little Pigs, he was well-mannered. He knocked on the door. He asked if he can come in. He asked if anyone was at home. And by the way, he just really wanted to borrow a cup of sugar because, again, he was making a cake for his grandmother. In our original story, he intentionally blew the pigs' houses down. He told them, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down. And he did just that for the first two pigs. In the true story of the Three Little Pigs, he accidentally sneezed, which caused the homes to be blown down. So he didn't set out to do it on purpose. He had a cold, and with a cold, we have symptoms, and the symptom of sneezing caused him to blow down the houses. All right, and in this original story, he wanted to get into the pigs' houses to eat them. So again, he set out, that was a part of his purpose, to accomplish getting the pigs and eating them. Whereas in the true story, or unlike the original version, in the true story of the Three Little Pigs, he wanted a cup of sugar to bake a birthday cake for his grandma. So his purpose for going to the pigs' homes were different in those two stories. So let's talk about what are some other similarities that the wolf presented in both of those stories. He was a character in both of those stories. So what are some things that he did or said that happened in both versions? Take a minute and write your answer down. Okay, so I'm going to share what I actually said about the wolf from both stories. Stop sharing my screen. So I wrote down that the wolf ate the first two pigs in both stories, but he also was not able to defeat the third pig in both stories. So the third pig actually conquered or defeated the wolf in our stories that we read. Okay. Just going back to our PowerPoint. All right, so let's move on to our next activity. If you would like to, you can flip your paper over. Let me go back. Pause. All right, so our next activity, I would like for you to flip your paper over, and we are going to compare the third pig from both stories. We want to compare the third pig from both stories. So what I did was to write myself a Venn diagram. Notice that there are 3 circles. The third circle is created when you overlap the 2 circles when you draw them. And it doesn't matter, but where I wrote different, you can write one of the titles to the story. And in the middle, of course, we're going to write the similarities. All right, so let's identify 2 similarities together, and then you can continue the rest on your own for independent work. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about what the differences are for the third pig from the original version. So we already talked about the wolf and comparing and contrasting. I'm sorry, I went back too far. So I apologize. Let's get to our activity. Okay, so here we are comparing the third pig from both stories. So let's talk about some of the differences that we could identify in the original version. He was brave, of course, in the 3 Little Pigs. He did not present himself to be fearful of the wolf when he came to his home. He felt secure and safe. And he outsmarts or outwits the wolf. He actually tricks him, and he was able to stay safe in his home. When we look at the true story of the 3 Little Pig, he taunted the wolf. The third pig taunted the wolf. And he also talked about his grandmother in taunting him. And from both versions, the pig was smart and he built a brick house. And so you may have some others. Feel free to jot them down and have a discussion about the third pig from those stories. All right, so for homework tonight, I would like for you to write a paragraph comparing and contrasting being at home and learning to being at school and learning. So how is it different for you being at home and having to do schoolwork from your home environment versus being in a school environment? How is it the same? And as always, make sure you are using capital letters and punctuation marks, and your sentences are complete thoughts. And make sure your paragraph contains at least 4 to 5 sentences. So I am going to challenge you to try to write at least 2 paragraphs, if not 3, comparing and contrasting how learning at home is different from learning at school. And how is it the same? All right, boys and girls, that is it for us for today. I am delighted that you were able to join me, and I hope to see you all on tomorrow. Let me stop sharing my screen. Thank you so very much, and make sure you stay safe and have a great afternoon.